Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive.
Excited to be here.
Today we're going deep on design thinking and innovation
Yeah,
based on this really cool course from IIT Bombay.
it's a good one.
Now, whether you're a student or faculty, an
Right.
entrepreneur, a professional, or just someone who loves to learn,
Absolutely.
I think you'll be fascinated by what we uncover today.
I think so too.
Because design thinking, as we'll learn, is not just for designers.
Not at all.
It's a way of thinking that can revolutionize how we solve problems
Yes.
in any field,
Yeah.
from art to engineering to business and even our personal lives.
It really can.
Yeah. So to kick things off,
Yeah.
what is design thinking and innovation?
That's the big question, isn't it?
It is.
Well, at its core, design thinking is a structured approach to problem solving. And as you said, it's not limited to designers.
Right.
It's a way of thinking that anyone can apply
Okay.
to create something new.
Something new.
Whether it's a product, a service, a system, or even a new way of doing things.
Interesting.
And the key here is understanding users and their needs.
So it's human-centered.
Very much so.
Okay, so how does this work in practice?
You know, a lot of people think design thinking is just about brainstorming and coming up with creative ideas.
Yeah, I can see that.
But it's so much more than that. It's about combining user requirements, creative solutions, and technology
Okay.
to address real-world problems and often launch new businesses.
Okay, I'm intrigued, but how does this actually work?
It's actually a very structured process. Design thinking is typically broken down into 6 phases.
6 phases.
Yep, each building upon the last.
Okay, walk me through these phases.
All right, so the first phase is all about empathizing with your users.
Empathizing.
This means really understanding their needs, their challenges, and their perspectives.
Okay.
It's about putting yourself in their shoes and seeing the world through their eyes.
So it's not just about gathering data.
No, it's about connecting with people on a human level.
Interesting.
And this phase often involves a lot of observation and interviewing.
I see.
You're trying to get a deep understanding of their experiences and motivations.
So that's the first phase, empathize. What comes next?
Well, once you have a good understanding of your users,
Uh-huh.
the next phase is to define the problem.
Define the problem.
Oh, yeah. You need to clearly articulate the challenge you're trying to solve.
Makes sense.
And this is where you analyze all the information you gathered in the empathize phase.
So you're looking for patterns and insights.
Exactly. You're trying to identify the root causes of the problem.
Okay, so empathize, define. What's the third phase?
The third phase is all about ideation.
Ideation, that's the brainstorming part, right?
Yes.
So this is where you start generating ideas for solutions.
It is.
But is it just about coming up with as many ideas as possible?
Not necessarily. It's about generating ideas that are both creative and feasible.
Okay, so there's a balance there.
Exactly. You want to think outside the box, but also keep in mind the constraints of the real world.
Got it. So I've got empathize, define, ideate. What's next?
The fourth phase is prototyping.
Prototyping.
This is where you start to bring your ideas to life.
So you're creating tangible representations of your solutions.
Exactly. Prototypes can be anything from sketches on a napkin to 3D printed models.
I see. And what's the purpose of prototyping?
The purpose of prototyping is to test your ideas and get feedback from users.
So it's not about creating a perfect finished product right away.
Not at all. Prototypes are meant to be iterative.
Iterative.
Yeah. You build something, test it, get feedback, and then refine it.
So it's a continuous process of improvement.
Precisely. And the more prototypes you create and test, the closer you'll get to a solution that truly meets the needs of your users.
Okay, that makes sense. So empathize, define, ideate, prototype. What's the fifth phase?
The fifth phase is testing.
Testing. So this is where you put your prototypes in front of real users and see how they react.
Exactly.
And what kind of feedback are you looking for in this phase?
You're looking for any insights that can help you improve your solution.
So are users finding the prototype easy to use? Are they understanding its purpose?
Yes.
Are they finding it valuable?
All of that.
So you're essentially validating your assumptions and identifying areas for improvement.
Precisely. And the testing phase is just as iterative as the prototyping phase.
Meaning?
You might test a prototype, get feedback, make changes, and then test it again.
So it's all about refining your solution until it's truly user-centered.
Absolutely.
All right, we've gone through 5 phases now. What's that last one?
The sixth and final phase is implementing.
Implementing. So this is where you actually launch your solution into the real world.
It is.
And what does this phase involve?
Well, it depends on the nature of the solution, but it often involves things like developing a business plan, creating a marketing strategy, and building a team to support the rollout.
So it's about taking your solution from the prototype stage to a fully functional and sustainable reality.
Exactly. And this is where all the hard work you've done in the previous phases pays off.
Wow, that's quite a journey. From empathizing with users to launching a real-world solution.
It is. And it's a journey that can be incredibly rewarding.
But it also sounds like it requires a lot of time, effort, and dedication.
It does. But the results can be truly transformative, both for the people you're trying to help and for yourself as a problem solver.
This is fascinating. I'm already starting to think about problems in my own life that I could tackle with a design thinking approach.
I bet you are.
Yeah.
It's a way of thinking that can be applied to almost any challenge.
Okay, so we've got a good overview of the 6 phases of design thinking.
Yep.
But before we dive deeper into each phase,
Sure.
I'm curious, are there any specific tools or techniques that are commonly used in this process?
Oh, absolutely. There are tons of tools and techniques that can help you at each stage of the design thinking process.
Like what? Give me some examples.
Well, for example, in the empathize phase, you might use tools like user interviews
Okay.
or ethnographic observation.
Ethnographic observation.
Yeah.
What's that?
It's basically about observing people in their natural environment to understand their behaviors and needs.
So you're like a fly on the wall watching how people interact with the world.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And it can be incredibly insightful.
I can see that. What about the other phases? What kind of tools are used there?
Well, in the define phase, you might use tools like affinity diagrams or problem statements.
And what about in the ideate phase?
In the ideate phase,
Yeah.
you might use brainstorming techniques like mind mapping or scamper.
Camper.
It stands for substitute, combine, adapt, modify, put to another use, eliminate, and reverse.
Wow, that's a mouthful.
It is, but it's a really helpful tool for generating creative ideas.
I can imagine. So you've got tools for empathizing, defining, and ideating. What about prototyping and testing?
For prototyping, you might use tools like paper prototypes.
Paper prototyping?
Yep. It's a quick and easy way to create low-fidelity prototypes.
So you're literally just sketching out your ideas on paper.
Exactly.
That's cool. And what about for testing?
For testing, you might use tools like usability testing
Okay.
or A/B testing.
And these tools help you gather feedback from users and refine your prototypes.
Precisely. And then in the implement phase, you might use tools like project management software or marketing analytics.
So there's a whole toolbox of resources available to help you through every step of the design thinking process.
There is. And the specific tools you use will depend on the project and your own personal preferences.
This is fantastic. It's like you're giving our listeners a secret weapon for problem solving.
I like to think of it that way.
So we've talked about the 6 phases of design thinking and some of the tools that are used in the process.
Yep. We've covered a lot of ground.
We have. But I'm curious to know more about how these tools are actually used in practice.
Right. Can you give me an example of a real-world project that utilized design thinking?
Absolutely. There are countless examples out there. But one that comes to mind is the development of the Swachh Bharat mission.
The Swachh Bharat mission.
Yes. It's a nationwide campaign in India aimed at improving sanitation and hygiene.
Okay. And how is design thinking used in this campaign?
Well, the government used design thinking principles to understand the needs and behaviors of people in different communities.
I see. So they were trying to understand the root causes of poor sanitation.
Exactly. And they also used design thinking to develop innovative solutions that were tailored to the specific needs of each community.
So it wasn't just a one-size-fits-all approach.
Not at all. They recognized that different communities have different challenges and require different solutions.
That's fascinating. Can you give me a specific example of a solution that was developed using design thinking?
Sure. One example is the development of community toilets in rural areas.
Community toilets. The government worked with local communities to design toilets that were affordable, accessible, and culturally appropriate.
So they were taking into account the social and cultural context.
Exactly. And the result was a significant increase in sanitation coverage in rural areas.
Wow, that's incredible. It sounds like design thinking played a key role in the success of the Swachh Bharat mission.
It did. And it's just one example of how design thinking can be used to address complex social challenges.
This is really inspiring. I'm starting to see the potential of design thinking to make a real difference in the world.
It really does have that power.
But I'm also curious about how design thinking can be applied on a smaller scale.
Smaller scale.
Yeah, like in our own personal lives or in our workplaces.
Absolutely. Design thinking is just as relevant in those contexts.
Okay, can you give me an example?
Sure. Let's say you're trying to improve communication within your team at work. You could use design thinking principles to empathize with your team members, understand their communication styles, and develop solutions that improve collaboration.
So you might use design thinking to create a more effective communication strategy for your team.
Exactly. Or you could use it to redesign your team's workspace
Okay.
to make it more conducive to collaboration.
I see. So design thinking can be used to tackle a wide range of challenges, from global issues to everyday problems.
It really can. It's all about approaching challenges with a human-centered mindset and a willingness to experiment and iterate.
This has been an incredible overview. I feel like I'm starting to grasp the power and versatility of design thinking.
Me too. It's a fascinating field.
But I'm also eager to learn more about the specific tools and techniques that are used in each phase of the design thinking process.
I hear you. That's where the real fun begins.
Okay, so let's dive deeper into those tools and techniques, starting with the empathize phase.
Sounds good to me.
What are some of the ways we can really get into the minds of our users and understand their needs on a deep level?
Well, one of the most powerful tools for empathizing is user interviews.
User interviews. Tell me more about those.
User interviews are basically structured conversations with your target users,
Okay.
where you ask them questions about their experiences, their needs, their pain points.
So it's about gathering qualitative data directly from the source.
Exactly. And the key to conducting effective user interviews is to ask open-ended questions.
Open-ended questions.
Yeah, questions that encourage users to share their thoughts and feelings in detail.
So instead of asking yes or no questions.
Precisely. You want to give users the space to tell their stories in their own words.
That makes sense. And how do you go about finding users to interview?
Well, there are a few different approaches you can take.
Okay, like what?
You could reach out to existing customers,
Hmm.
or you could use social media to recruit participants.
Hmm.
Or you could even partner with organizations that serve your target audience.
So you're essentially casting a wide net to find people who represent the user group you're trying to understand.
Exactly. And the more diverse your pool of interviewees, the richer your insights will be.
Okay, that makes sense. So user interviews are one powerful tool for empathizing. What are some other techniques that can be used in this phase?
Another really valuable technique is ethnographic observation.
Ethnographic observation. We touched on this earlier, but I'd love to hear more about it.
Sure. Ethnographic observation is all about immersing yourself in the user's environment
Okay.
and observing their behaviors in their natural context.
So it's like becoming a detective of human behavior.
It is. You're watching how people interact with the world,
Uh-huh.
noticing their habits, their routines, their pain points.
And you're doing this without directly interacting with them?
Well, it depends. Sometimes you might engage in conversation,
Okay.
but the primary focus is on observation.
I see. So you're trying to get a sense of how people actually behave, not just how they say they behave.
Exactly. And that can be incredibly revealing.
I can imagine. So user interviews and ethnographic observation are two key tools for empathizing. Are there any others that we should be aware of?
Yeah, there are a few others that can be really helpful.
Like what?
For example, you might create user personas.
User personas.
Yeah, they're basically fictional representations of your ideal users.
Okay. And how do you create user personas?
You use the data you've gathered from your research
Okay.
to create detailed profiles of your target users, including their demographics, their goals, their motivations.
So you're essentially painting a picture of who your users are.
Exactly. And user personas can be really helpful in guiding your design decisions.
I can see that. So you're essentially bringing your users to life, even if they're not physically present.
You got it. And that can make it much easier to design solutions that meet their needs.
This is fantastic. I'm starting to see how much depth and nuance there is to the empathize phase.
It's a crucial phase, for sure.
It is, and it's clear that there are a variety of tools and techniques that can be used to gather insights and build empathy for our users.
Absolutely. The key is to choose the tools that are most appropriate for your project and your target audience.
This has been an eye-opening exploration of the empathize phase,
Glad to hear it.
but I'm also eager to learn more about the define phase.
Yeah, let's move on to that.
How do we take all those insights we've gathered about our users and translate them into a clear and concise problem statement?
Well, that's where the magic of the define phase comes in.
Okay, tell me more about this magic.
In the define phase, you're essentially taking all the messy, chaotic data you've collected
Uh-huh.
and transforming it into a clear and actionable problem statement.
So it's about bringing order to the chaos.
It is. You're looking for patterns in the data,
Okay.
identifying the root causes of the problem,
Mm-hmm.
and framing the challenge in a way that inspires creative solutions.
So it's not just about summarizing the problem.
No, it's about reframing it in a way that unlocks possibilities.
That's interesting. Can you give me an example of how you might reframe a problem statement?
Sure. Let's say you're working on a project to improve public transportation in a city.
Okay.
You might start with a problem statement like, public transportation is too slow and unreliable.
That's pretty generic.
It is, and it doesn't really inspire any creative solutions.
So how would you reframe that statement?
You might reframe it as, people are frustrated with the lack of convenient and enjoyable public transportation options.
Okay, I see the difference. The second statement focuses on the user's experience.
Exactly. And it also suggests that the solution might involve more than just making buses and trains faster.
It opens up the possibility of exploring new modes of transportation
Ah,
or creating a more enjoyable writing experience.
precise.
So reframing the problem statement is a key part of the define phase.
It is. And it's often the key to unlocking truly innovative solutions.
All right, so we've talked about reframing the problem statement. What are some other tools and techniques that are commonly used in the define phase?
Well, one popular technique is called how might we questioning.
How might we?
Yeah. It's a way of turning problem statements into opportunities for innovation.
Okay, how does that work?
Basically, you take your problem statement and turn it into a question that starts with, how might we?
So using our public transportation example, we might ask, how might we make public transportation more convenient and enjoyable?
Exactly. And that simple shift in language can make a big difference.
How so?
It invites people to think creatively about solutions.
I see. It shifts the focus from the problem to the possibility.
Exactly.
So how might we? Questioning is one technique for the define phase. What are some others?
Another helpful tool is the affinity diagram.
Affinity diagram, what's that?
It's basically a visual brainstorming tool that helps you organize and synthesize your research data.
Okay, how does it work?
You start by writing down all the insights you've gathered from your research on sticky notes.
Okay.
Then you group those sticky notes together based on themes or patterns.
So you're essentially creating a visual map of your research findings.
Exactly. And this can help you identify key insights and areas of focus for your design challenge.
This is great. I'm starting to see how the define phase is all about turning raw data into actionable insights.
It is. And it's a crucial step in the design thinking process.
It is, because without a clear understanding of the problem,
Right.
you can't possibly hope to find an effective solution.
Absolutely. The define phase lays the foundation for everything that comes after.
Well said. Okay, we've covered a lot of ground in the define phase.
We have. It's a crucial part of the process.
It is, but I'm also eager to learn more about the ideate phase.
Yeah, the ideate phase is where things start to get really creative.
Okay, I'm excited to hear more about that.
So let's move on to the ideate phase.
Let's do it. How do we go from a clearly defined problem statement to a set of innovative solutions?
That's where the power of brainstorming comes in.
Brainstorming. That's the classic ideation technique, right?
It is. And it's still one of the most effective ways to generate creative ideas.
Okay, but isn't brainstorming just about throwing out random ideas?
Well, it can be, but there are also structured brainstorming techniques that can help you channel your creativity and come up with more focused solutions.
Okay, like what? Give me an example of a structured brainstorming technique.
Sure. One popular technique is called mind mapping.
Mind mapping. I've heard of that, but I'm not sure I fully understand it.
Well, it's basically a visual way of brainstorming.
Okay.
You start with a central idea,
Mm-hmm.
and then you branch out from that idea with related concepts and thoughts.
So you're creating a visual map of your ideas.
Exactly. And this can help you see connections between ideas
Okay.
and generate new possibilities that you might not have thought of otherwise.
That's cool. So mind mapping is one brainstorming technique. What are some others?
Another popular technique is called scamper.
Scamper.
Yep. It stands for substitute, combine, adapt, modify, put to another use, eliminate, and reverse.
Wow, that's a lot of words.
It is, but it's a really simple and effective tool.
Okay, walk me through it. How does scamper work?
Basically, you take your existing product or idea,
Mm.
and you apply each of those verbs to it.
So you might substitute a component,
Yep,
combine it with something else,
exactly.
adapt it to a new use,
Uh-huh.
modify its features,
Yeah.
put it to another use entirely,
Yes,
eliminate unnecessary elements,
precise.
or reverse its functionality.
You got it.
Wow, that's a lot of possibilities.
It is. And Scamper can help you generate a ton of creative ideas in a short amount of time.
Okay, so mind mapping and Scamper are two brainstorming techniques. Are there any others that are commonly used in the ideate phase?
Yeah, there are a bunch of others out there.
Like what?
For example, you might use role-playing
Role-playing.
to get into the mindset of your users.
Interesting. And how does that work?
You basically assign different roles to your team members, and then you act out scenarios related to your design challenge.
So you might pretend to be a customer using a product
Exactly.
or an employee interacting with a new system.
Precisely. And role-playing can help you identify potential problems and generate creative solutions.
That's cool. It sounds like a fun and engaging way to brainstorm.
It is, and it can be really effective.
All right, so we've got mind mapping, Scamper, and role-playing.
Yeah.
Are there any other ideation techniques that we should be aware of?
Well, there's one more that's really popular.
Okay, what is it?
It's called body storming.
Body storming. What's that?
It's kind of like role-playing,
Okay.
but it's even more immersive.
How so?
Instead of just acting out scenarios,
Yeah.
you actually physically move around and interact with your environment.
So you might pretend to be using a product in its intended setting.
Exactly. Or you might act out a service interaction in a real-world location.
That sounds really interesting. Can you give me an example?
Sure. Let's say you're designing a new mobile app
Okay.
for ordering food. You might go to a restaurant
Uh-huh.
and physically act out the process of ordering food using your app.
So you might walk around the restaurant pretending to browse the menu on your phone.
Exactly. And you might even interact with other people, pretending to be the waiter or the cashier.
That sounds like a lot of fun, and I can see how it would help you identify potential usability issues with your app.
It can. And body storming can also help you generate creative solutions that you might not have thought of otherwise.
This is amazing. I'm starting to see how the ideate phase is all about pushing the boundaries of creativity and exploring new possibilities.
It is. And it's a really fun and rewarding part of the design thinking process.
It is. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground in the ideate phase.
We have lots of great techniques to try.
There are, but I'm also eager to move on to the prototype phase.
Yeah, let's talk about prototyping.
How do we take those abstract ideas we've generated and turn them into tangible representations that we can test and refine?
That's where the magic of prototyping comes in.
All right, I'm ready to learn more about this magic.
Prototyping is all about bringing your ideas to life.
Okay.
It's about creating tangible representations of your solutions
Uh-huh.
so that you can test them, get feedback, and iterate on them.
So prototypes are essentially rough drafts of your solutions.
Exactly. And the key to prototyping is to not get hung up on perfection.
Meaning?
Your prototypes don't have to be perfect or even fully functional.
Okay.
They just need to be good enough to test your core concepts and gather feedback.
So it's more about testing the essence of the idea
Right.
than creating a polished, finished product.
Exactly. And the beauty of prototyping is that it allows you to fail fast and learn quickly.
Fail fast and learn quickly.
Yeah. The sooner you can identify problems with your solution,
Mhm.
the sooner you can fix them.
And the better your final product will be.
Exactly. So don't be afraid to experiment and iterate.
All right, so I'm convinced prototyping is essential.
It is.
But what are some of the different types of prototypes that we can create?
Well, there are many different types of prototypes.
Mm-hmm.
And the type you choose will depend on your project and your budget.
Okay.
But some common types include paper prototypes,
Okay.
digital prototypes,
Yep.
and physical prototypes.
Can you give me an example of each type?
Sure. A paper prototype is basically a mock-up of your solution,
Okay.
created using paper and markers.
So it's a low-fidelity prototype.
Exactly. And it's a great way to test basic functionality and user flow.
I see. What about a digital prototype?
A digital prototype is a mock-up of your solution created using software.
So like a wireframe or a mock-up in a design tool.
Precisely. And digital prototypes can be really helpful for testing the look and feel of your solution.
Okay, and what about a physical prototype?
A physical prototype is a tangible representation of your solution created using materials like cardboard, foam, or 3D printing.
So it's a higher fidelity prototype.
It is. And it's a great way to test the ergonomics and usability of your solution.
This is great. It sounds like there's a prototype type for every stage of the design process.
There is. And the key is to choose the type that's most appropriate for your needs at any given moment.
This is fascinating. I'm starting to see how prototyping can be a really fun and iterative process.
It is, and it's a crucial part of the design thinking process.
It is.
And it's a crucial part of the design thinking process.
It is. But before we get too carried away with building prototypes,
Right.
I want to circle back to those ethnographic tools you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, those are really interesting.
Because we talked about user interviews,
Yeah.
but ethnographic tools seem like a whole different approach to understanding users.
They are.
So what exactly are ethnographic tools?
Well, ethnographic tools are all about observation and immersion.
Observation and immersion.
Yeah. It's like becoming a detective of human behavior.
A detective of human behavior.
F- You're not just asking people what they do, you're actually observing them in their natural environment.
So instead of asking someone, hey, how do you use public transportation?
Right.
You'd actually go out and watch how people interact with buses and trains.
Exactly. You might spend time at a bus stop or a train station,
Okay.
observing how people navigate the system,
Mm-hmm.
noticing their frustrations, their workarounds.
So it's about seeing the world through their eyes, literally.
It is, and it can be incredibly insightful.
I can imagine. What kind of insights can you gain from ethnographic observation?
Oh, all sorts of things. You might notice that people are struggling to find information about bus routes,
Okay.
or that they're having trouble navigating crowded train platforms.
Mm-hmm.
You might see that people are using their phones to track bus locations,
Uh-huh.
even though there's a perfectly good real-time display at the bus stop.
So you're gathering data about how people actually behave,
Right.
not just how they say they behave.
Exactly. And that can be really valuable when you're designing solutions.
I can see that. Because sometimes people aren't even aware of their own behaviors, or they might not be able to articulate them clearly in an interview.
Exactly. So ethnographic observation can help you uncover those hidden needs and pain points.
So where do these ethnographic tools fit into the overall design thinking process?
Well, they're particularly useful in the empathize and define phases.
Empathize and define. Makes sense.
Yeah, because they help you gather real-world data about your users
Okay.
and understand their needs in a deep and nuanced way.
So for example, if we were using ethnographic observation to improve the public transportation system, we might start by spending time at bus stops and train stations,
Right.
observing how people are using the system.
Exactly. And we might also talk to people,
Okay.
ask them about their experiences,
Uh-huh.
but the focus would be on observation.
Got it. So ethnographic tools are all about getting out of the office
Yeah,
and into the real world.
absolutely. It's about immersing yourself in the user's environment and seeing the world through their eyes.
This is really interesting. I'm starting to see how ethnographic tools can complement other research methods, like user interviews and surveys.
Exactly. They all work together to give you a holistic understanding of your users.
So we've talked about ethnographic tools.
Yep, a powerful set of tools.
They are. And I'm also curious about some of the other tools and techniques that are used in the design thinking process.
Sure, there's a whole toolbox of resources available.
I know, but I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed.
I understand. It can be a lot to take in.
It is. So maybe we can focus on a few key tools that are particularly useful in the ideate and prototype phases,
Sounds good to me.
because those are the phases where we're really starting to generate and test solutions.
They are the heart of the creative process.
Exactly. So what are some tools that can help us unlock our creativity and bring our ideas to life?
Well, one tool that's really helpful in the ideate phase is mind mapping.
Mind mapping, we talked about that earlier as a brainstorming technique,
We did?
but I'm curious to know more about how it can be used specifically for ideation.
Sure. Mind mapping is a great way to visually organize your thoughts and ideas.
Okay.
It's also helpful for seeing connections between concepts and generating new possibilities.
So how would you use mind mapping in the ideate phase?
Well, let's say you're working on a project to design a new park.
Okay, a new park.
You might start by creating a mind map with the central idea of park in the middle.
Okay, park in the middle.
And then you could branch out from there with different categories like amenities, activities, accessibility, sustainability.
I see. So you're essentially breaking down the concept of a park into its component parts.
Exactly. And then within each category, you could start brainstorming ideas.
So under amenities, you might list things like benches, playgrounds, water fountains.
Right. And under activities, you might list things like walking trails, sports fields, picnic areas.
Got it. So you're essentially creating a visual representation of all the different possibilities.
Exactly. And the beauty of mind mapping is that it allows you to see connections between ideas that you might not have noticed otherwise.
So you might see that there's a connection between accessibility and sustainability.
Mm,
If you design the park with accessible pathways, you're also creating a more sustainable environment.
precisely. Mind mapping can help you think more holistically and come up with more integrated solutions.
This is great. I'm starting to see how mind mapping can be a really powerful tool for ideation.
It is. And it's a really fun and engaging way to brainstorm.
It is. Okay, so we've talked about mind mapping.
Yep, a great tool for ideation.
It is. And I'm also curious about some of the tools that can be used in the prototype phase.
Sure. There are tons of prototyping tools out there.
I know, but maybe we can focus on one or two that are particularly versatile and easy to use.
Sounds good to me.
Because I want our listeners to feel empowered to start prototyping their own ideas,
Right.
even if they don't have a lot of experience or resources.
Absolutely. Prototyping should be accessible to everyone.
Exactly. So what are some prototyping tools that you'd recommend for beginners?
Well, one tool that I always recommend is paper prototyping.
Paper prototyping. We talked about that earlier.
We did. But it's worth repeating because
All
it's such a simple and effective tool.
I agree. And it's really low cost.
Exactly. All you need is paper, markers, and some tape.
And a little bit of imagination.
That's the most important ingredient.
So how would you use paper prototyping to create a prototype of, say, a mobile app?
Well, you would start by sketching out the different screens of your app on separate pieces of paper.
Okay, so like a home screen, a menu screen, a product detail screen.
Exactly. And then you would cut out those screens and arrange them on a table or a whiteboard.
I see. And then what?
Then you would use arrows or other visual cues to indicate how users would navigate between the screens.
So you might draw an arrow from the home screen to the menu screen to show that users can tap on a button to access the menu.
Exactly. And you can even use sticky notes to add interactive elements, like buttons or drop-down menus.
That's cool. So you're essentially creating a working model of your app, even though it's just made of paper.
Exactly. And the great thing about paper prototypes is that they're really easy to change and iterate on.
So if you get feedback from users that a certain feature isn't working well,
Right.
you can just redraw that screen or rearrange the sticky notes.
Exactly. No need to spend hours coding or designing in a software program.
This is great. I'm starting to see how paper prototyping can be a really fast and iterative way to test your ideas.
It is. And it's a great way to get feedback from users early in the design process.
Okay, so paper prototyping is a great option for creating low-fidelity prototypes.
It is.
But what if you need to create a higher fidelity prototype?
Right.
Something that looks and feels more like the finished product.
Well, in those cases, you might consider using a digital prototyping tool.
A digital prototyping tool.
Yeah. There are tons of great tools out there,
Mm.
like Figma, Adobe XD, and Envision.
And these tools allow you to create interactive prototypes that simulate the functionality of a real app or website.
Exactly. You can create clickable buttons, animated transitions, and even realistic data displays.
So you can essentially create a prototype that looks and feels like the finished product.
You can. And that can be really helpful for getting buy-in from stakeholders or for conducting user testing.
I see. So digital prototyping tools are a great option when you need to create a more polished and interactive prototype.
They are. And they can be really fun to use, too.
They can, but I imagine they also require a bit more technical expertise than paper prototyping.
They do. But there are tons of great tutorials and resources available online.
That's good to know. So even if you're not a designer or developer, you can still learn to use these tools and create your own digital prototypes.
Absolutely. Prototyping is for everyone.
This is fantastic. I'm feeling really inspired to start prototyping some of my own ideas.
Me too. It's one of the most rewarding parts of the design thinking process.
It is. Okay, so we've talked about ethnographic tools, mind mapping, paper prototyping, and digital prototyping.
Yep. We've covered a lot of ground today.
We have. And I feel like I have a much better understanding of the tools and techniques that are used in the design thinking process.
That's great to hear.
But I'm also eager to learn more about how these tools are actually used in practice.
Right. Real world examples.
Exactly.
Right.
Can you give me an example of a project that successfully utilized these tools and techniques?
Absolutely. There are countless examples out there.
Hmm.
But one that comes to mind is the development of the Aravind Eye Care System in India.
The Aravind Eye Care System.
Yes. It's a network of eye hospitals that provides high-quality, affordable eye care to millions of people in India.
Okay, and how did they use design thinking to achieve that?
Well, they started by empathizing with their users, who were largely poor and rural.
So they were trying to understand the unique challenges faced by people in those communities.
Exactly. And they used a variety of tools and techniques to do that, including user interviews, ethnographic observation, and community meetings.
So they were really committed to understanding the needs of their target audience.
They were. And that understanding informed every aspect of their design process.
Okay, so how did that empathy translate into concrete solutions?
Well, for example, they realized that many people couldn't afford to travel to the city for eye care.
Makes sense. Transportation can be a major barrier to healthcare access.
It is. So they designed a system of mobile eye clinics.
Mobile eye clinics.
Yeah, they basically brought the eye care to the people.
That's brilliant. So they were able to reach people who otherwise wouldn't have had access to care?
Exactly. And they also designed their hospitals to be highly efficient and streamlined,
Okay.
so they could provide high-quality care at a low cost.
So they were using design thinking to innovate on both the delivery and the affordability of eye care.
Exactly. And the results have been incredible.
Tell me more about the results. What kind of impact have they had?
Well, they've performed millions of eye surgeries,
Wow.
and they've helped restore sight to countless people.
That's amazing. It's a testament to the power of design thinking to address real-world problems and make a positive impact.
It is. And the Aravind Eye Care System is just one example of many.
I'm sure there are, but it's a particularly inspiring example.
It is. And it shows how design thinking can be used to create not just innovative solutions,
Right.
but also sustainable and scalable systems.
That's a really important point because it's not enough to just come up with a good idea.
True.
You also need to think about how to make it work in the real world.
Exactly. And design thinking can help you do that.
This has been an incredible exploration of design thinking. I feel like I've learned so much.
Me too. It's a fascinating field.
It is, but I'm also feeling a bit overwhelmed by all the information.
I understand. It's a lot to take in.
It is. So maybe we can take a step back and talk about how our listeners can start applying these principles in their own lives.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Because I don't want them to feel like design thinking is something that only experts can do.
Right.
It's a mindset that anyone can adopt.
Absolutely.
So what's one piece of advice you would give to someone who wants to start using design thinking in their own work or life?
I would say start small.
Start small.
Yeah. Don't try to tackle a huge, complex problem right away.
Okay.
Instead, pick a small, everyday challenge that you're facing and apply the design thinking process to it.
So, for example, if you're struggling to stay organized,
Right.
you could use design thinking to come up with a new system for managing your time and tasks.
Exactly. Or if you're trying to improve communication with your family.
You could use design thinking to create a more effective way to share information and make decisions together.
Precisely. The key is to start small and build your confidence.
I like that. Start
Yeah.
small and build your confidence.
Yeah. And remember, design thinking is an iterative process.
Meaning?
You're going to make mistakes,
Okay.
and that's okay.
It is.
Yeah, because every mistake is an opportunity to learn and improve.
This is great advice. Start small, build your confidence, and embrace the iterative process.
Exactly. And the more you practice design thinking,
Mm-hmm.
the more natural it will become.
I'm feeling really empowered to start using design thinking in my own life.
That's great to hear. And I'm sure our listeners are feeling the same way.
I hope so. Okay, so we've talked about how to get started with design thinking, but I'm also curious to know what resources are available to help people learn more about this approach.
Well, there are tons of great resources out there.
Really? Like what?
Well, for starters, there are tons of books and articles on design thinking.
Okay. Any recommendations?
Sure. One classic book is Change by Design by Tim Brown.
Change by Design. I'll have to check that out.
It's a great introduction to the topic.
What about online resources?
There are tons of those, too.
Like what?
Well, there are websites like IDOU and the Stanford D-School
IDOU and the Stanford D-School?
Yeah. that offer online courses and resources on design thinking.
And there are also podcasts and YouTube channels dedicated to the topic.
Absolutely. So there's no shortage of ways to learn more about design thinking.
This is great. I'm feeling really optimistic about the future of problem solving.
Me too. Design thinking has the potential to change the world.
It does. Okay, so we've talked about how to get started with design thinking and what resources are available to help people learn more.
Yep. We've covered a lot of ground.
We have. But before we wrap up this episode,
Sure.
I want to circle back to the IIT Bombay course that we mentioned at the beginning.
Yeah, that's a great course.
It is. And I think it's a perfect example of how design thinking is being taught and applied in a real-world setting.
Absolutely. It's a really hands-on and practical course.
I've heard great things about it. So can you tell me a little bit more about the course and what students can expect to learn?
Sure. The course is called Design Thinking and Innovation,
Design thinking and innovation.
and it's a 16-week online course offered by IIT Bombay on the SWAYAM platform.
Okay, 16 weeks online SWAYAM platform. Got it. And what are some of the key topics that are covered in the course?
Well, the course covers all the essential aspects of design thinking,
Okay.
from empathizing with users to prototyping solutions to implementing ideas in the real world.
So it's a comprehensive overview of the entire design thinking process.
It is, and it's taught by some of the leading experts in the field.
Wow, that's impressive. And I understand that the course also includes a hands-on project component
It
where
does.
students get to apply what they've learned to a real-world challenge.
Exactly, and that's one of the best parts of the course.
I can imagine. It's one thing to learn about design thinking in theory,
Mhm.
but it's another thing entirely to put it into practice.
Absolutely, and the project component gives students the opportunity to do just that.
So what kind of projects do students typically work on?
Well, the projects vary from year to year, but they always focus on real-world challenges that are relevant to the Indian context.
So, for example, students might work on projects related to healthcare, education, or sustainability.
Exactly. And they work in teams,
Okay.
using the design thinking process to develop innovative solutions.
Wow, that sounds like an incredibly valuable experience.
It is, and it's a great way for students to build their portfolios and gain practical experience.
I can see that. And I bet it's also really rewarding to work on projects that have the potential to make a positive impact.
It is, and that's something that the IIT Bombay course really emphasizes.
That's fantastic. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have, from the basics of design thinking to real-world examples and resources.
It's been an incredible deep dive, and I'm feeling really inspired to start applying these principles in my own life.
Me too. Design thinking is a powerful tool for change.
It is. And I hope our listeners are feeling inspired too.
I hope so too. We've just scratched the surface of what's possible with design thinking.
We have. And I encourage everyone to keep exploring, keep learning, and keep innovating.
Absolutely. The world needs more design thinkers.
It does. Okay, that's a wrap on this episode of The Deep Dive.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us. And until next time, keep those creative sparks flying. Okay, so we've talked a lot about the tools and techniques of design thinking.
We have. It's a pretty comprehensive process.
It is, but I'm always eager to see those tools in action.
Real-world application.
Exactly. So what are some projects that have used design thinking to tackle real-world challenges, especially in India?
Well, one project that comes to mind is the development of the Jaipur foot.
The Jaipur foot.
Yeah, have you heard of it?
I think so, but refresh my memory.
So it's this incredible prosthetic limb
Okay.
designed specifically for amputees in India.
Okay.
And it's a great example of how design thinking can be used to create a low-cost, high-impact solution.
I see. So how did they use design thinking in this project?
Well, they started by, really empathizing with the users.
Hmm.
They spend time with amputees, understanding their needs, their challenges, their lifestyles.
So it wasn't just about creating a functional prosthetic.
No, it was about creating a prosthetic that fits seamlessly into their lives.
I see. They were considering the whole person.
Right, exactly. And through this process, they realized that affordability was a huge factor.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So they focused on using locally sourced materials and simple manufacturing techniques.
Keeping costs down.
Yep. And they also made sure the Jaipur foot was durable,
Okay.
easy to use, and adaptable to different terrains.
Because India has such a variety of environments.
Exactly. And the impact has been incredible.
Tell me about it.
The Jaipur foot has helped millions of people regain mobility and independence.
Wow, that's incredible. Do you have any other examples of projects that have used design thinking to make a real difference?
Yeah, another one that comes to mind is the development of portable water purifiers.
Water purifiers, that's crucial in many parts of India.
It is. Access to clean drinking water is a huge challenge in many communities.
Right. So how did design thinking come into play here?
Well, designers and engineers used it to develop these really innovative water purifiers that were portable, affordable, and easy to use.
So they could be used in rural areas, places without reliable infrastructure.
Exactly. They really focused on making these purifiers user-friendly, even for people who might not be familiar with technology.
I see. That's so important, designing for the specific context.
It is. And the results have been amazing.
Like how so?
These portable water purifiers have significantly reduced waterborne illnesses,
Wow.
and they've made a real difference in the lives of countless people.
It's incredible to see how design thinking can be used to address such a wide range of
It
challenges.
is, from healthcare to sanitation to education.
It really seems like it has the potential to create positive change across all sectors.
Absolutely. It's a powerful approach to problem solving.
Well, this deep dive has been incredibly insightful.
It's been great discussing it with you.
Likewise, we've learned about the principles of design thinking, the tools and techniques used, and we've even explored some inspiring examples of real-world applications.
Yeah, a great overview.
It is. And for anyone listening who wants to dive deeper into this topic, we highly recommend checking out that design thinking and innovation course on SWAM.
Yes, definitely.
We'll make sure to include a link in the show notes.
It's a fantastic resource.
It is. But most importantly, I hope our listeners are walking away with a sense of empowerment.
Empowerment.
Yeah, because design thinking isn't some exclusive club.
Right.
It's a mindset that anyone can adopt.
Absolutely. It's about being curious, empathetic, and solution-oriented.
Exactly. So no matter what challenges you're facing, whether it's in your personal life or your professional life, remember design thinking can help you find creative solutions and make a positive impact.
It can. It's a powerful tool for change.
Well said. And that's a wrap on this episode of The Deep Dive.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us. Until next time, keep those creative sparks flying.